everyone. My name is Baria Sheikh. I have completed my MERN stack from Spark IT Training Institute. We all students are preparing for our placement interviews. So we have decided to create a video series. So today my topic is JavaScript module pattern. So let me give you what is the JavaScript module pattern. So basically JavaScript module pattern is a design pattern which is used for organizing code in a structured manners, and we can have this module as a private variable and as a public variable. In private variable it is hidden from outside, and in public variable it is accessible from outside. So let me give you one basically JavaScript eval function is used for encapsulation. It means it hide implementation details and execute only important part of the code, as well as it avoid global scope pollution. It means it protects the private variables as well as public variables from the global scope namespace. Then it is used for code organization. Basically, let me give you one example of JavaScript module pattern. Let me give you an example of JavaScript module pattern. First, we are going to create a module name as function. So let's create a module. Inside this module function, we are going to create a private variable and public variable. So first we will be creating a private variable. So then we are going to create a private variable. So let private var is equal to I am private Now over here we are going to over here we have created a private variable. If we call this private variable, it is not accessible from outside if we call it now. But if we call this using a public method, it will show a different output. Now first we are going to create, over here we are going to create a private function. So first the function name as function is equal to private private function. Here we have created a private function. Now inside this private function we are going to give an output. So using console.log, it will show accessed, accessed private function. Okay. Now if we call this function now, it will show it as undefined. But if we are we are going to use it as we are going to return it. Now we are going to return all this object. So first return, we are using this return function. Return we are going to use a public method. We are using a public method. In this public method, we are going to call this function, so which means it is now accessible in the return function. So we are going to call this function, so which means now it is accessible. First it was not accessible. Now using this return method we are going to access it. We are going to call this function method. Inside this function method, now we can call this function, we can call private variable as well as private function. So we are going to call this private variable using console.log private variable. So here we have called the private variable. Now we are going to call the private function. So we will write this private function over here. We are going to call this private function and we are going to close these brackets and let's see. Okay, first I have created a function name as inside this constant function. I have created a private variable name as I am private. Then I have created a private function. In private function I am going to call access private function. Now how to return this objects? Here we have created the object. Now using the return, we are returning this object using public method. In public method we call this function from over here, and using console.log we can get the private variable. So the output will be, if we call this public method, the output will be I am private plus access private function. And without, if we only call the private function, second option, if we only call the private function, it will show us as a undefined, because the private function is not accessible from outside, but only this public method can call this private functions. So here it is the explanation. So here's the summary. The JavaScript module pattern is used for making clean code and to secure code and maintain it more properly, as well as it avoids global scope for pollution, and it uses encapsulation inside this. So it is a very useful function for create before ES6. So here's the summary. Thank you for watching.